Please rise. Court of Common Pleas in and for Butler County. The Honorable Keith M. Spade presiding is now in session. You may have a seat. Thank you.
All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Jury's return is Monday morning, 10 o'clock, an hour beyond the time that I represented to you, ladies and gentlemen. We'll get started. Counsel is present, the defendant is present. Ladies and gentlemen, the jury, is there anything that you wish to report in terms of any concern about a violation of the admonitions and the rules that I gave you when you first began your service as jurors? If so, raise your hand. No one's raised their hand. In your absence, the state of Ohio has moved into evidence certain exhibits. One of the exhibits that I want to talk to you about now is State's Exhibit 105 and 106. You may recall these were the what they call data dumps or telephone dumps, that data from Rebecca Kinner's phone and Bradley Young's phone. You'll have those with you in the jury room. The testimony, you may recall, Rebecca Kinner has been struck. There are statements, conversations on both of those phones of Rebecca Kinner's questions or comments. You are not to consider Rebecca Kinner's comments or statements as evidence in this case. You may consider her comments and her statements only as it provides a context to the statements made by anyone else in that conversation, presumably Bradley Young. All right. So her statements in those records are not in and of themselves evidence, and you may not consider them as such. Is that understood? If they're removed, for example, it doesn't give you any context as to the other party to the conversation. So they are left in only to give meaning or context to the statements that are in the record, those of Bradley Young, which are admissible, and you may consider. All right. The state is rested. Certain exhibits have been admitted. You'll have those with you back in the jury room. Now the defense has the opportunity to present his case. Mr. Johnny?
Thank you, Judge. Judge, at this time we'll call Michael Rudy. Michael Rudy, Judge.
Michael Rudy.
Thank you.
So would you please stand right here, turn and face the jury. Raise your right hand. You solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give before this court and jury is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes.
Okay, sir, have a seat right here.
All right. Mr. Rudy?
Yes, sir.
You have the right to object to being photographed or videotaped. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any objection to the media videographing you or photographing you?
No, sir.
Iowa. You may begin your question.
Thank you. Good morning, sir. Please state your name for the court.
Mike Rudy,
And Michael, where are you currently employed?
Crane One Services.
All right, very good. And do you reside in Butler County?
Yes, sir.
All right, very good. And do you know Bradley Young?
Yes, sir.
How do you know Bradley Young?
He was an employee of mine for years.
And when you say employee of yours, does that make you his boss?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. And how long have you worked at Crane One?
Myself, approximately 3 years.
And are you aware of when Mr. Young started working at Crane One?
Yes.
And when was that?
This stint he started in June. I believe it was June.
2015?
Yes, sir.
All right, very good. And with Crane One, you travel to Michigan frequently.
Yes, sir.
And how do you get to Michigan?
I drive company vehicle.
And do you take Mr. Young with you?
Yes, sir.
Very good. And and if you would, for this court, explain the schedule that you follow.
The schedule we're on should be we work 8 days straight, 12-hour days, and we get off 6 days. Doesn't work out. We usually would do 12, 13 days straight with a day or two off.
Okay, very good. Sir, I'm going to direct your attention to what's been marked as Defense Exhibit E. You see that packet in front of you?
Yes, sir.
Do you recognize those documents?
Yes, sir.
And as part of that packet, these would include timesheets for Mr. Young,
Yes, sir.
the 8 steel gate log for the Dearborn location, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Do you recognize the pay stubs also in that packet?
Yes, sir.
Very good. And sir, all of that seems to be consistent with what you've known in these
Absolutely.
documents, is that correct?
Yes.
All right. And then, I'd like to direct your attention to proposed Defense Exhibit E1.
Yes, sir.
This being a calendar?
Yes.
All right. And you're certain that from August 2015 up through December 2nd, 2015, Mr. Young went to work with you every time
Yes, sir.
that he was working?
Yes.
All right, very good. When looking at this Exhibit E1, referencing starting August 1st, the W's would indicate work.
Yes.
So on this, it would indicate August 1st through the 6th, you were at work, is that correct?
Correct.
And then you would come home then that Friday the 7th? Yes?
That is correct.
All right, very good. Now I'm going to ask you to turn to the month of November.
Okay.
Directing your attention to the middle of the month, you left for Michigan on what day after the 15th of November?
On the 16th, Monday?
How long were you in Michigan?
11 days?
You came home the night of Thanksgiving, then the 26th?
Yes.
All right, very good. And do you remember what time you returned home from Michigan on Thanksgiving?
Late evening, 9 o'clock, 8:39.
Do you remember, did you drive with Bradley Young home that day?
Yeah, I drove. Brad rode with me.
Where did you take Brad, if you remember?
I dropped Brad off at his father's house that night.
Very good. Was that the last time Brad was with you as far as
Yes.
working with you?
Yes.
Judge, at this time, I then have no more questions for, actually, I might have one more question. Might have one moment with counsel.
Yes.
Thank you. Sir, Exhibit E was that packet.
Yes, sir.
Those are records kept in the ordinary course of business through grade 1, is that correct?
Yes, it is.
All right. And the calendar, E1,
Yes, sir.
that would be an accurate calendar reflecting the scheduled work and pay stubs in E transferred on to E1. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Very good. Thank you, Judge. No more questions.
Good morning, Mr. Rudy. My name is Helen Kiley.
Hello.
I have a few questions for you.
Okay.
You met with detectives and talked to them about this case, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And shortly after shortly after December 2nd, 2015, within the weeks following that,
Yes, ma'am.
you were asked about defendant's personality and whether or not he had a temper.
Yes, Your Honor. Privilege, that counsel approach.
Gentlemen, stand up, stretch your legs, maybe have a little more unrelated conversation.
Not judge, but this right now, this question, the argument for that is character right now. And him having a bad temper on a good temper is not appropriate, okay? It's prejudicial. But Judge, if he does that, he stands on very
The court has sustained the objection to jury's instructed disregard of both the question and whatever response was elicited from the witness. Understood? Very well. I think they understand. You may continue your question.
Thank you, Your Honor. You described that you came back into town with the defendant on November 26th in the late evening. That was on Thanksgiving Day. Is that accurate?
Yes, ma'am.
And you were supposed to leave when to go back to Michigan?
We would have left Wednesday night.
Wednesday, December 2nd?
Yes, ma'am.
In fact, you started texting the defendant that afternoon, waiting for him to show up to meet you. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, does that sound accurate?
Yeah, we would, I mean, I don't know the exact time, but we would normally leave 5 or 6 o'clock, so yeah, a couple hours prior.
And then you regularly would ride up to Michigan with the defendant?
Yeah, he would ride with me, yes.
And in those drives, he would talk about both Rebecca Kinner and the child Kinsley Kinner, isn't that right?
Yeah, he's mentioned them.
And he told you that Kinsley was not a good kid, or that Rebecca was not good with the kid, not good with Kinsley, and that she kept telling him to reprimand and discipline Kinsley. Isn't that right?
No, I don't think that's correct, no.
You met with the detective, gave a statement, correct?
Yep,
Remember that was recorded?
yes.
I'm going to mark this as State Exhibit 153. If I may approach the witness?
Does the defense counsel have this?
He does.
What page do we?
Page 20 of the
Page
State's
20.
Exhibit 153.
May approach the witness.
Thank you. Right here where it says, and she just wasn't good with the kid,
Yes, ma'am.
just wasn't good with reprimanding the kid,
Yes, ma'am.
right? Those are your words?
Yes, ma'am.
And that's what you told the detectives on that day?
Yes, ma'am.
So you told him that the defendant told you that she just wasn't good with the kid and she wasn't good with reprimanding the kid, correct?
Correct.
All right.
Judge, may we approach? Well, do you want her to read the question and the answer?
In the full way answer, yes, Judge.
All right.
Thank you.
Why don't you go back to the podium, have the witness read both the question and the answer.
Okay.
You have the right to have the whole thing read to the jury at this point.
Question, Detective Willis?
So you're going to start on page 19,
Yes.
line what?
Line 23, you're talking about the mom or answer, yeah, the mom. Detective Willis, okay. Answer, and she just wasn't good with the kid?
Judge. Counsel, approach. Are you going to start at the beginning?
I will start again at the beginning, page
So
19.
the question to the witness, isn't it true this is what was said?
This is what The witness stated yes.
Very well.
All right. So you were asked by Detective Willis, excuse me, you're talking about the mom. Your answer was, yeah, the mom, correct?
Yes.
Detective Willis said, okay, and you stated, and she just wasn't good with the kid, she wasn't good with reprimanding the kid, she just wasn't, hey, there is another flag, bud, if she can't control a 2-year-old, hit the road. That's your statement, correct?
Yes.
All right. And you were asked about, he told you she keeps telling me to reprimand and discipline her?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
And do you recall stating that now?
Yes.
So,
Well, when you first said it, there was a little bit of...
you weren't sure about it?
Yeah, well,
Okay.
no, you swapped some words in the beginning. So.
All right, well, thank you for correcting that.
Thank you.
He also told you that Kinsley would keep him up a lot late at night? And that he would get up with her?
Yes.
If I may have just a moment.
Yes.
I have no further questions.
Cross, or redirect, I apologize.
Sir, you had the chance to read your statement that you previously gave to the police, is that correct?
No.
Just now?
Oh, yes, just now.
Okay. And when you were questioned, regarding discipline of Kinsley, did you give Brad any instructions?
Prior to all this, I have mentioned to Brad that he didn't know the mother or the child well enough to stay away from any kind of discipline, yes.
Your Honor, may I approach this witness? Sir, do you remember giving, you don't remember your exact statement you gave to the police?
No.
You may approach.
If you had the opportunity to review your statement, do you think that would help?
Oh, yeah,
refresh your recollection?
absolutely.
Thank you, Judge. Sir, if you look on page 20, starting at line 18 through 25. If you could please read lines, though, 18 through 21.
And I read these just as they're stated?
As are stated, sir.
Okay, so,
Objection, Your Honor. At this point, I think he was refreshing my recollection of the witness.
Sir, I'm going to remove the document rule. Now, after reading your statement, do you remember what you said?
I don't recall word for word that. I know what I've told him in the past, yes.
Sir, may I approach?
You may.
And I didn't read it
Take your
all.
time, read lines 18 through 21. Sir, what did you say?
I told Brad not to bathe her, touch her, spank her, be alone with her. Not his place.
Why?
Why did I tell Brad that?
Yes.
Brad was a good kid that worked for me, and I was looking out for his well-being. He didn't know the kid or the mother well enough to do so.
And you further went on to explain part of your answer, located on lines 23 through 25 of your statement. Do you remember what else you said?
No.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
Yes.
Sir, if you could, read lines 23, 24, and 25.
Yes.
And what, in addition, did you say?
Doesn't know what the mother's capable of, so therefore he shouldn't involve himself anyway in any discipline, anything else.
Thank you, Your Honor. No more questions.
Thank you, sir.
Your Honor, may I just take a break?
You may.
Please, counsel.
Of course we can. All right. Please excuse us, ladies and gentlemen.
Mr. Reed, I think when you talked to the police officers, you described to them that the defendant had recently, I think your words were, stood back from you a little bit, because I don't know if I judged him was the right word, but I judged him wrong, you know. Do you recall that statement?
No.
Do you recall stating to the officers that he definitely wouldn't tell you if he had looked at the child?
No.
If I may approach the witness,
You may.
State's Exhibit, again, State's Exhibit 153. And we're looking at both page 10 and page 43. So starting with page 10.
So the witness is responsible as he does not remember that, or he denies saying that?
My understanding was he didn't remember.
Oh, yeah, I did not remember.
Saying
Nothing
that.
You
wrong.
may show him that document to refresh his recollection.
So page 10, line 4. And if you need to read a little further to understand what that means.
Okay.
Does that help to refresh your recollection?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so what did you state about the defendant standing back from you a little bit?
I don't know, I mean, are you wanting me to recite exactly what is said there? I'm not sure what I'm being asked,
No,
I'm
but
sorry.
you recall stating to the detective that the defendant stood back from you a little bit, correct?
Yes.
Because you were judging him, is that correct?
Yes.
All right. Stood back from you, meaning didn't share as much with you because you were judging him, correct?
Yeah, just careful around me, you know, treating him like a little brother. Judging him, I was hard on him.
And page 43 of that. Line 2.
Okay.
Take a look at that.
Mm-hmm.
You remember stating that?
Nah, I don't remember, no.
You- Looking at this doesn't help to refresh your recollection?
No.
So in your interview with...
So we're making a record here. Are you asking a question? Maybe you did, but I didn't hear it. What are you asking?
I was asking if you recalled making a statement that's in the transcript.
Well, whether it's in this transcript or not, ask him a question. Do you recall?
Do you recall stating he definitely wouldn't tell me if he whooped her?
I didn't.
Do you have any reason to dispute that you said that?
No.
When you initially met with detectives, you remember telling them that Brad has a temper with short, angry man syndrome?
I remember discussing short angry man syndrome, yes.
Remember describing him as having a temper?
No.
I may approach the witness again and see if Exhibit 153.
You may. Page.
Page 3, line 23. Although you'll have to read probably most of the page to get the context of the question. Go ahead.
Line, please. I'm sorry.
The line
Page 3, line.
23.
Okay, so what are you asking?
Do you recall stating that to the detective?
Yeah, but if you want to know that, why don't you just read the whole page yourself, and so it's not taken out of context?
We'll go ahead and explain it. If you feel like it's out of context, please explain it. That was your statement, correct? He has a temper with short, angry man syndrome.
Yes, but wouldn't it be more accurate just to read the whole page?
So you have to testify. If there's something that you need to explain regarding that, please explain.
May I read the whole page?
Court will allow the witness to read the whole page.
Thank you.
Thank you. Question says, so you've known him for 4 years, basically. Answer, 4 years, give or take a few months. Question, okay, and we understand you guys have gotten pretty close, working together a lot of hours. Answer, absolutely. Question, okay. Answer, I say brotherhood of work. So, detective says, got you, okay. Now, when you guys weren't working, or I know you guys stay there a lot. I say that's correct. He says, did you ever have an opportunity to kind of talk to him about his life, vice versa? I say, absolutely. Okay, what kind of guy do you think Brad is? The best way to say it, he is a good kid. Good kid, man. He is a good kid. He says, uh-huh. I say, he is short. He says, right. I said, he has a temper with short, angry man syndrome. Yeah.
Nothing further.
Recross. Or, I'm sorry.
Redirect.
Yeah, redirect.
Thank you.
Redirect.
So you kept going with that statement, didn't you?
I believe so.
Your Honor, permission to approach the witness.
I'll allow him to read the whole thing so
Thank
he
you.
can
Starting at
contact, ladies and gentlemen of the jury.
Page 4 through 20, yeah, the entire page.
All right, so this is continuing on from where the witness last left off.
So, this is where I finished right before.
Correct.
I say, but he says, and how far am I reading to, sir?
The entire page, sir.
Okay. He says, now when you say anger man syndrome, I say, just saying, short anger man syndrome. Okay? For being short, Detective
Please
Willis.
identify yourself.
Myself, for being short. Detective Willis, it's stated here, he says, all right, okay. Answer, Napoleon disease. Detective Willis says, right. question, I got you. Well, sometimes I've been said to have the same thing. Well, that's the detective.
Is this you saying
No,
this?
that's the detective. I'm sorry, there's a cue here. Is that not the question? Okay, so the detective says, I got you. Well, sometimes I've been said to have the same thing. So vertically challenged, I got you. Answer, myself, yeah, but yeah, he is short, but yeah, he is a good kid, and man, a hard worker, you know. He is young, I think, what, 26-ish, 25, 26, and man, he works his butt off for me, and I've been training him to manage for me. So, question back to the detective, he says, okay, and he's been progressing up through the company and so forth. I say, absolutely. He says, okay. Myself, yeah, I've been doing this 18 years, and I just don't pick anyone for anything. He says, okay.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you, sir.
Is the state finished with this witness?
Yes, the state does not wish to re-recross.
Yeah, I lost track. Defense is finished with this witness?
Yes, Judge.
Then you can be excused.
He may be.
Very well. Mr. Rudy, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Watch your step as you exit that witness box. You're excused with our thanks. State secretary, or the defense next witness.
Your Honor, we would call Chuck Diesbach.
Please stand right here, turn and face the jury, raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give before this court and jury is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes. Please, Doc, have a seat. Sir, you have the right to object or to oppose being photographed or videographed by the media. You have the right to object to that. You understand that?
Yes.
Do you have any objection?
Prefer not to be on camera or video.
Very well. Then the media will respect that, not photographed or videographed. Mr. Shavone,
Thank you, Your Honor, very much.
proceed.
Sir, would you state your name for the ladies and gentlemen of the jury?
Charles Diesbach.
And Mr. Diesbach, you reside at the home that the jury visited at the first part of the trial, is that correct?
Yes.
All right. That's on Radaball Road.
Yes.
And do you own that home, sir?
I do not.
Who owns that home?
My father.
Do you still reside there?
He does and I do.
Do you still reside at that residence?
Yes.
Okay. And on or about December the 2nd of last year, did you have a roommate?
I did.
And who was that roommate?
Bradley Young.
All right. You see Bradley here in the courtroom?
Yes.
And that's the same Bradley Young that was your roommate?
Yes.
Okay. And how long had he been your roommate as of December 2nd?
Roughly, give or take, about 3 months.
And did he pay you rent?
Yes.
And the furniture that was in the house on December 2nd, is that all your furniture?
Yes.
So is it safe to say that Bradley moved in his clothes and pretty much that's it?
He had a bedroom suit and things like that.
The rest of the house was yours?
Yes.
All the home furnishings, that kind of stuff? Yes. And in your home, the living room, you come in the front door of the living room, and you turn to your right. Is that where the bathroom is located?
Yeah, in the hallway, yes.
And if you're looking at the bathroom door and you look to your right, is that a bedroom right there?
Yes.
All right, whose bedroom is it?
Brad's.
And if you look to the left, is there a bedroom there?
Yes.
And whose bedroom is that?
Mine.
Now, the way your house is constructed, have you ever been in the kitchen and, excuse me, have you ever been in your bedroom and heard folks talking in the kitchen?
You can hear things, but you don't necessarily make out what they say. My bedroom actually is at the very back of the house. My room is a double room. There's no door in between, so my bedroom's actually the very back.
And I think you said there's no door between?
No,
Do you have a dog?
I do.
Did you have a dog on December 2nd?
I did.
What kind of dog was it?
Pit bull terrier.
And is that the dog you have now?
No, that dog actually passed away.
Now, was there ever an occasion when that dog may have caused an injury of some kind to Brad's hand?
Yes, that's what I was told.
Who were you told that by?
Objection, Your Honor.
Okay.
Do you know when that was? Did he mention that to you?
Objection.
Move to strike all of this testimony that's already been given on this question.
Sustained.
Okay.
I mean, as to what somebody might have sustained.
Did you have a conversation with Bradley Young regarding the dog bite?
Yes.
Based upon that conversation, we really determined how the injury on Mr.
Objection,
Young
Your Honor.
Sustained.
I'll move on. On the early morning hours of December 2nd, were you at home?
I was.
On Wednesday morning?
Yes.
And the day before that, being Tuesday, were you home on Tuesday?
I was.
Part of the day. Now, beginning of Thanksgiving, did you leave town?
I did.
When did you return?
Sunday night.
Sunday evening. When you got home on Sunday evening, did you see anyone at your home?
Yes.
Who was there?
Brad, Rebecca, and Kinsley.
Did you talk with them?
I did.
Did you see anything unusual going on at that time?
No.
Do you recall about what time it was when you got home?
Around 11, 11:30, I think.
At night?
Yes.
Was Kinsley still up?
Yes.
Did you know Kinsley?
I did.
Did you have occasion to hold her?
Every now and then, yeah.
Did you have occasion to hug her?
Yeah.
All right. And did you ever have conversations with anyone at the house regarding Kinsley's face?
Yeah, there was a bruise on the top of her head.
But specifically on Monday evening, do you recall a conversation with Rebecca Kinner about the child's face and the impetigo?
Yes, I mean,
Objection, Your Honor.
You can inquire as to what this witness told Rebecca King.
And I don't have any objection to that. I'm just talking about the person.
Does the witness understand that you may not testify or relate what Rebecca Kinner may or may not have told you?
yes.
All right, next question.
Thank you, Judge. Do you recall discussing with Rebecca Kinner the child's impetigo on her face?
I did, yes.
And do you recall what you said to her?
Not word for word, but I did, inquire about what exactly was going on.
And did you at any time tell her her face was looking better?
I did.
And why did you tell her?
I noticed that she had had a rash before, and it looked like it had gotten better since the last time that I'd seen her.
Oh. But you did state on Monday evening you did see what appeared to be a bruise?
Yes.
Did you mention, don't say what Rebecca might have said, did you mention that bruise to Rebecca?
No, it was.
Now, during the time that Bradley lived with you, did there come a time when Rebecca and Kinsley began spending a lot of time at your house?
Not necessarily.
Was there a time when occasionally Rebecca and Kinsley would spend time at your house?
Yes.
And was it every weekend?
No.
Do you recall what Brad's work schedule typically was?
Usually 2 weeks gone to work, and then he would be home for a long weekend.
And during those long weekends, Rebecca and Kinsley would come to their home,
Yes,
and they would stay with Bradley Young.
yes.
And during those times, do you recall any instance where you heard Bradley yelling at either Rebecca or Kinsley?
No,
Do you ever recall any circumstance where you heard screaming from Rebecca or Kinsley?
no,
Do you recall any situation where you ever saw Bradley Young strike Kinsley Kinner?
no,
On Tuesday evening of December the 1st, do you recall what time you got home from work?
roughly 5:30, 6 o'clock.
And you would have gone to work at what time?
I had to be there at 8 in the morning, so roughly 7:30.
And on Tuesday morning, did you, before you left for work, did you see Rebecca Kinner or Bradley Young or Kinsley?
No,
So when you left the house, everyone was asleep?
yes,
And when you returned home, did you pull into the driveway by yourself, or was someone pulling in the driveway with you?
I pulled down the line.
Pulled on? And did you see Rebecca Kinner at that time?
No,
When you went to the house, did you see Rebecca Kinner?
no,
Did you ever see Rebecca Kinner on Tuesday evening?
I did.
Do you recall what time that was?
Maybe 7:30, 8 o'clock.
And do you know where Rebecca, was Rebecca with Brad at that time?
I'm assuming so, yes, they were all together whenever they returned to my house.
Okay, do you know where they had been?
I was told they were at Rebecca's grandmother's house.
All right, let me slow you down just a little bit.
Okay.
When you got home from work, were you able to determine whether or not Rebecca Kinner was doing the laundry?
She was.
And do you recall whether or not it was shortly after she finished the laundry that she, Brad, and Kinsley left?
Yes.
And when they left your house, had you witnessed any type of confrontation between Brad Young and Rebecca Kinner?
No.
Did you witness or in any way hear of anything that, of any confrontation between Brad Young and Kinsley Kinner?
No.
And after they left, did you remain home?
Yeah, I did.
Awesome. And do you recall what time they returned from the grandmother's house?
It was later in the evening. I know it was dark out.
It was dark.
Don't remember exactly what time. It was maybe 9:30, 10 o'clock.
And when they returned from the grandmother's house, did they both go into the house?
He did.
All right. Did Brad make a stop first?
He came up to the garage.
All right. So he went into the house, then came to the garage?
Yes.
All right. And what was going on in the garage?
I was just out there working on my car.
Now, the garage that you have is a pretty complete shop, isn't it?
Yes.
And you have music up there?
Yes.
TV up?
No.
Is it a place where you relax?
Yeah, usually.
Work
Spend a
on
lot of time.
projects, that kind of thing?
Yeah, spend a lot of time there.
And on that particular evening, did you have the front doors of the garage open or closed?
They were open.
They were open, okay. Did you have music on at that time?
I did.
You did? Was it real loud, or was it soft, or in between?
Normal in between.
Were you able to have a conversation with Brad?
Yes.
And how would you describe his demeanor?
I mean, he seemed to be in good spirit.
Did he complain about his teeth?
A little bit, but not, any more than usual.
You didn't find it unusual what he was saying about his teeth?
No.
Did he complain about Rebecca Kinner at all?
No.
Did he complain about Kinsley Kinner?
No.
Had he ever complained to Kinsley Kinner about you?
No.
Excuse me, to you regarding Kinsley Kinner? Now,
The witness's response is no.
No.
and to the best of your knowledge, how long was Bradley out in the garage with you?
20 minutes.
20 minutes? And He then went where?
into the house.
And when did you come into the house?
Probably in an hour, hour and a half following.
And when you came into the house, what did you see?
Actually, everyone was already in bed, so there was no one, out and about outside of the house.
All right, if you were to estimate time as to when you returned to the home, what time did you say it was?
Maybe 11:30.
So the house was quiet.
Yes.
At that time, what did you do?
Took a shower and went to bed.
And when you went to bed, sir, did you have to set your alarm?
I did.
And what time did you set your alarm for?
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock. Do you recall waking up during the night at any time between the time you went to bed and the time that you were awoken?
No.
During that time, did you hear any screaming whatsoever?
No.
Did you hear any yelling whatsoever?
No.
Did you hear any crying whatsoever?
No.
Now, have you ever heard crying coming from Kinsley before?
Yes.
Were you in your bedroom
Yes.
and you were able to hear her cry?
Yes.
Do you recall when that was?
I think it was the night before, maybe 2 nights before, maybe about Sunday night.
And when you heard her cry, did you hear either of the adults, Bradley or Rebecca?
Heard them both.
And what did you hear?
They
From
were-
Bradley Young, what did you hear?
they were both comforting her. It wasn't like a deadly scream or anything. She was just crying,
And you heard Bradley comforting her?
Yes.
Do you recall what he was saying?
I couldn't really hear all that well.
Okay. Nothing that upset you?
No.
Now, did there come a point when you were awakened on Wednesday morning, December the 2nd, before your alarm went off?
Yes.
And would you explain to the ladies, you don't know the jury, how that occurred?
I heard my door slam wide open and hit the wall, and it was Rebecca, and she was screaming at the top of her lungs for me to wake up that Kinsley wasn't breathing.
Did she tell you what she expected you to do about that?
No.
Did she tell you to call 911?
No.
Did she tell you to come out here and give CPR to the child?
No.
All right, what did you do?
I jumped out of bed and ran to see exactly what was going on.
And what did you see?
Bradley and Kinsley were in the kitchen, and he was performing CPR on her.
What did you do at that time?
I instantly went down to help him, tried to, any way I could, just to,
Were you holding the baby's head?
I was.
Who was administering the chest compressions?
Brad.
And who was giving breath to the child?
Brad.
Did you ever see him hesitate?
No.
Now, did you see Rebecca in the kitchen?
I did.
And did Rebecca have the telephone in her hand?
No.
Where was the telephone?
It was sitting on a chair next to Brad as he was on the ground.
And was Brad communicating with the 911 operator to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
And did Rebecca leave the kitchen?
She did not.
How long did she stay in the kitchen?
Until the first responders arrived.
And then what did she do?
At some point, she had walked outside. I think once they carried her to the ambulance.
Now, do you recall the first deputy on the scene?
I do.
And did you see him administering CPR to the child?
Yes.
Is that the officer that took over for Brad?
Yes.
And at that point in time, did you see an EMT, a fireman, a big man, come in the kitchen?
Yes.
And what did that EMT do when he came into the kitchen?
He grabbed her. They tried to help the first responder, the guy that first originally walked in. They both started performing CPR, and then they picked her up and carried her out to the ambulance.
At any point in time, did you see the EMT, the big man, come into the kitchen, leave without the child, and then come back into the kitchen? Once that EMT came into your kitchen, he stayed there until he carried the child out? Is that your testimony?
Yes.
And he never came back into the kitchen?
Not that I'm aware.
Did you ever see him speak with Rebecca Kinner or Bradley Young?
No.
And where were you throughout this entire time?
I was in the kitchen until they had taken her to the ambulance, and then I had to get dressed, and obviously didn't know exactly what was going on at that point, so prepared to go to the hospital or wherever.
So you were in the kitchen the entire time from the time you got up to the time they removed the child, you were in that kitchen.
Yes.
Then after that, were you taken to the Butler County Sheriff's Office?
I was.
Were you interviewed?
I was.
For approximately how long?
Maybe 4 or 5 hours I was there.
I thank you so very much. Good first question, Sheriff. Ross?
Thank you. Mr. Diesbach, there were a number of EMTs on your property that morning, were there not?
There was.
And a number of EMTs coming in and out of your home, correct?
Yes.
And you stated that the defendant complained about his teeth normally? Is that what you stated?
As far as just having a surgery, I didn't see anything out of the ordinary as far as the complaint.
He complained he was in pain, but it seemed appropriate with just having had surgery.
Absolutely.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
You said you pointed, I think it was a Monday night that you pointed out a bruise and asked about where that came from on Kinsley?
They actually had told me they were in a accident prior, while I was out of town. Prior to me arriving home, they'd been in a fender bender, and that the bruises from that.
On Monday, that's what was said.
Yes.
And you said you were interviewed at the police department for 4 to 5 hours, or were at the
I was-
sheriff's office for 4 to 5
I was
hours on December 2nd?
Yes.
Do you recall telling the detectives when you were there on December 2nd that you'd only seen the one bruise on her head, and that they said they were giving her a bath or a shower, and that she was having a shower and she bumped her head? Remember saying that?
Yeah, that was also said as well. Wasn't really clear whether it was from the wreck or from the shower incident, but
Well, on December 2nd, when you talked to detectives, you didn't mention the car accident, correct?
Right.
So you only mentioned the shower.
yeah.
And do you recall telling the detectives about the events of Tuesday evening? And telling them that they wanted to have dinner or something, and they left, and you went out to the garage, you started cleaning and sweeping leaves out of the driveway and stuff. You went back inside, took a shower, went to bed. And then it was about 6 o'clock this morning that I woke up and Becca was screaming to wake you up, correct?
Yes.
Never once mentioned that the defendant came out and spent 20 minutes with you out in the garage.
I'm not sure if I did or not.
You want to take a look at your statement regarding that? Would that help to refresh your recollection?
I mean, I can take a look at it, but I remember it pretty clearly.
And you don't remember telling them anything about Bradley coming out of the garage, correct?
Judge, Your Honor, one other question.
I don't remember if I said that or not. To be honest, there was a lot going on that morning.
You spent
You'll get rid of it.
You bet.
did meet again with the sheriff's office on December 8th, 2015. Does that sound right?
Sounds right.
And that would have been the first time you mentioned about Brad being out of the garage with you.
Right.
Does that sound accurate?
Yeah.
And prior to that meeting with the detective, but before the after your December 2nd meeting with the detective, but before your December 8th detective, you actually spent some time on the phone with defendant's dad, Mike Young, where he reminded you about spending the evening in the...
Sustained. Jury's instructed to disregard a suggestion of Mike Young may not have told this witness.
Your Honor, if I may approach on this?
Yes.
I had already marked this one, so I think there's an open 152. Is that
There is.
accurate? Okay.
How's everybody on the jury doing, all right? We need a break.
Judge, we may.
Ready for the next question?
Approach, please.
Well, here's what we're going to do. If you folks need to take it down. We'll recess for 10 minutes. During the course of our break, ladies and gentlemen, the jury, remember to abide by the admonitions I shared with you. Please remain at your station until the jury's had the opportunity to exit the courtroom. All rise to excuse the jury. All right, the jury's been excused. Please have a seat. Any reason why this witness cannot be excused during the course of our break?
No reason, Your Honor.
Very well. Mr.
Diesbach here.
Diesbach. During the course of our break, do not discuss your testimony with anyone or allow anyone to discuss it with you. Is that understood?
Yes, Your Honor.
Very well. George, to return here, let's say in 8 minutes.
Sounds good.
All right. All right. The witness has been excused, the jury's been excused, counsel and the defendant are present. Ms. Hiley, what do you wish to bring to the court's attention?
Your Honor, this exhibit 152 are a total of 4 pictures that were shown to this witness by the officers during interviews for him to identify what bruises, if any, he had seen on this child previously. I think there's an objection by defense because one or more of these photos had been excluded by the court, but I think it's important that these now become admitted photos because these would be for the witness to identify whatever bruises he saw at that time. These were exactly as they were shown to the defense, or the witness.
All right. Did Ms. Hiley accurately describe your objection, gentlemen?
I believe, Judge, with this exhibit here, this witness clearly identified that he did it. He didn't dispute that he didn't do it. And now what the state's trying to do is get in more pictures that this court's already ruled on and excluded. And now they want him back in, and this is another way to do that. There's no discrepancy here to his testimony as to, I think if the witness would have said, oh, I didn't circle any bruises, I didn't do this, I've never seen anything like that.
I see it.
That's different. But now, to present this, Judge,
So, you think the evidence is that on this particular photo, the bottom of one side here, the one with the circle, that was shown to this witness, and that witness put this ink mark circle on it.
Yes, Your Honor, so all 4 of those photos, were shown. The witness identified that bruise and then stated she looked nothing like this Tuesday night when I saw her.
Judge, I believe what would be more appropriate is if this witness were handing a picture. I'm not going to tell the state what to do, but this would be similar to putting a transcript into evidence. This is a statement through a writing given to the police, and now they want to introduce that as an exhibit to get it in. He said he did it. He identified it correctly. I don't know where we are. I think that we could put a picture up and he could point to it. That would be appropriate. But to admit this would not.
Prior statement of identification, Your Honor.
Well, this time it's overruled. We'll see if the witness can identify the exhibit first, and whether or not he was shown all 4 of those photographs. And we'll see what the witness has to say. Right now, I'm going to allow the state to introduce it, but it has not been admitted.
Thank you, Judge.
So it may not be published until we make a ruling as to its official. Any questions?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you.
All right, we have 5 minutes left in our break.
Rise.
Use it wisely.
Yes. Thank you, Your Honor.